Well, hello there. Good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Tonight on the program, controversy continues to brew over the proposed U.S. visa ban as well as asset freezer list linked to alleged religious persecution in Nigeria. Questions are rising about fairness and selective justice. The list reportedly includes former Governor of Kano State, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, alongside two key players in the Nigeria livestock industry, Makban and Mieti Allah Kautalhore. Well, this conversation signals the continuation of the debate about the alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria as the United States doubles down on its efforts to address Nigeria's growing security challenge. We'll be having this conversation tonight with someone who is not only from Kano, but is familiar with all the issues in between regarding Nigeria's security challenges, as well as those concerns that have been raised in the U.S. Congress, as well as the conversations happening here on the ground. We're also going to touch base with some of the political developments of the day. But of course, before we get into the heart of the conversation, let's bring you up to speed with some of the day's latest developments in politics.
Former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai was allegedly approached by security operatives at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on Thursday. His media advisor, Muyiwa Adeke, said the incident happened shortly after El-Rufai arrived from Cairo, Egypt. Adeke claimed the operatives tried to take the former governor into custody, but he refused, insisting he would not comply without a formal invitation or warrant. A member of El-Rufai's legal team, Ubong Esop Ekpan, has confirmed details of the airport encounter involving the former governor. He said security officials seized El-Rufai's passport after the failed arrest attempt. The development follows earlier claims by El-Rufai's media aide that operatives tried to detain him when he returned from Egypt. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has endorsed the ADC chairmanship candidate for Abuja Municipal Area Council, Dr. Moses Paul, ahead of the February 21 FCT Council elections. Atiku described Dr. Paul, known as Dr. Mo, as the candidate young voters in Abuja can relate to and trust with the future of AMAC. He urged FCT residents, including AMAC voters, to support all ADC candidates at the polls. Atiku said the council elections marked the first step towards removing what he called a failed APC government. Posting on his verified X handle, he added that the ADC offers the best path forward, starting with victory in AMAC. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declined to comment on the controversy surrounding the Senate's amendment of the Electoral Act 2022. Debate over the changes began on February 4 after the Senate passed the bill following a 5-hour close-by-close review. One amendment cuts the notice period for elections from 360 days to 180 days. Lawmakers also rejected mandatory real-time transmission of results, keeping the existing provision for electronic transfer.
All right, some of the day's latest developments in Nigerian politics there. And of course, we'll be touching base on some of the issues that have been highlighted, especially around the Electoral Amendment Act that is currently generating a lot of interest and conversations from politicians to stakeholders, civil society organizations, giving their 2 cents about what is actually playing out. But our key conversation tonight is on what's happening in the United States and how that is shaping conversation back home here in Nigeria. Madam Jafar Sani is someone who is familiar with the conversation and is here to help us navigate all of the hot topics associated with this conversation. It's good to see you again. Thank you very much for coming back.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. Right. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, the past 24 to 48 hours have been interesting, to say the least. For one reason or the other, Nigerians have been inundated with a lot of developments regarding relationship with the United States over the last couple of months. It went from critical to stable as far as Nigerians can tell. However, there are still developments that beg a lot of questions about what is actually playing out. How do you react to what has been an interesting week in the U.S. Congress in relation to the Christian genocide claim here in Nigeria and what some of the congressmen are pushing for in their legislation?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على نبي الكريم أما بعد. It's quite interesting, and there are precursors to the development that we are finding ourselves in today. And it's utmost really quite surprising that the United States of America, based on the narratives that have emanated from Nigeria, have decided to designate a group and an individual, and likely some other individuals, as people of particular interest, who they are interested in seeing that their assets are seized, their accounts are frozen, they have a visa ban on them, and enforcing the McKinsey Act, which is a global act across the globe, with so many European countries and some Middle Eastern countries partnering into. The most surprising thing that exposes the hypocrisy in the whole issue is the naming of engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, who you know I am not the best of foes with when it comes to issues of political ideology and what have you. But fundamentally, engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso is inalienably a Muslim, and I'm a Muslim, that's primary, and he's a northerner, and an extension of the north. He's from Kano, and that's the state I come from. So any injustice that is targeted towards him would as well one day be targeted upon me or somebody that resembles this particular characteristics that I have just mentioned. And a lot is going on in the globe. Muslims are being targeted, they are being profiled, and Muslims are being stigmatized. And I believe the whole idea of bringing engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso into the list that has been mentioned of people of particular concern that are going to face some certain restrictions and sanctions by the United States of America based on the proposed bill that is said to be before the U.S. House of Representatives, I think is an unwelcome development and is going to lead to more problems than solutions.
And just to be very specific about what Representative Riley Moore had to say about him, he was quite critical about Kwankwaso because Kwankwaso obviously retorted when the Christian genocide claim was made last year. Has been interesting to say the least. And he did say that Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso is complicit in the deaths of Christians, quote unquote, referring to his record as governor of Kano State and the implementation of Sharia law. How much of that is fact and how much of that is embellished in your view? You see,
Abdullah, I have to be sincere and honest with you. Going by the legal brief that was written by Joash Amopitan, you are complicit, I am complicit, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso is complicit, any northern Muslim is complicit in the killing of Christians in northern Nigeria. Because that is the image, that is the narrative that is contained in that legal brief. And unfortunately, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has appended his presidential seal on that legal brief that was written by Joash Amopitan by appointing him to the most trustworthy office in the land. That is the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. So he has appended his seal. And recently, if you go by the statements that are emanating from people around the presidential villa, recently, the wife of the president, the first lady of the country, was in America, and she was calling for more American strikes in the northern, she specifically stated northern part of the country. She didn't call for strikes in the southeastern part of the country that are suffering from the IPOB and sit at home and issues of separation, agitations of separation, killings that are going on there.
You don't think that it's fair to say that the North is a top priority when it comes to insecurity?
The North is a top priority when it comes to insecurity, but it shouldn't be labeled as a crisis that is based on faith.
Is there a chance that you are misinterpreting the efforts as something that is targeting Muslims or North to destroy the region?
Of course, of course. It is a deliberate act.
But where's the fact?
The facts are numerous. Wherever America in the past 20 years has conducted war, it's in Islamic countries. From Somalia to Yemen to Iraq to recently in Iran. Forgetting the fact that millions of Christians are killed in Palestine today. Millions and millions of Muslims are being killed over the years. The recent count in just the 2025 crisis between the Palestinians and the Israelis, 70,000 people dead. Americans are not focusing on that. The European countries are not focusing on that. So this brings out the hypocrisy in this in the southern hegemony. In the context of people with certain faith being designated as certain people.
So you're accusing the wife. You're accusing the wife of the president of what exactly? What did the first lady do wrong?
The first lady has called for attacks. The American government. She did not mention terrorists.
Who do you think she wants to be attacked?
No, but she did not mention terrorists.
Quoting
her word for word, she called for more strikes in the northern part of the country. That's quoting her word for word. And if you look at the narratives that are being sent out by certain media organizations in Nigeria here, you talk about Fulani herdsmen bandits. You don't talk about Igbo bandits. You label criminality and target to a certain faith, or you target to a certain ethnicity, is absolute profiling and is condemnable. This is what we need to desist from doing. We should call a criminal, whatever his background of faith, whatever his background of ethnicity, whatever his background of geography where he comes from. A terrorist is a terrorist. A criminal is a criminal. There is no need demonizing so many other people, innocent people. I'm a Fulani man, back and forth. If you say Fulani herdsman bandit, you're including me. There are criminals that I don't associate with. There are criminals that I condemned their acts.
But isn't there a chance that, the possibility that all the things you're saying could be true? However, the same narrative could also be empirical, that the bandits are majority from the Fulani extraction. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But if the bandits are from the Fulani extraction, then are you calling every Fulani man a bandit?
Yeah, but that is the point that has not been made.
All right, let me ask you another question. The majority of the people in ESN and IPOB are Igbos. We up till now have the tag of unknown gunmen. Why is it that we don't have the tag Igbo gunmen? I'm asking you that same question.
I suppose you have to talk to the people who are using unknown gunmen.
No. I'm asking you the same question because you asked me the same question, that the majority of the herdsmen, the bandits, are Fulanis. And what is wrong with associating the Fulani?
I'm saying it's a fact that some of them are Fulanis.
It's also a fact that 100% of members of ESN and IPOB that are perpetrating the criminality in southeastern part of Nigeria are Igbo people. Why don't we label them as Igbo gunmen? Why don't we label them as Igbo?
Why is the equalization important in your view? Why is the equalization
important? The equalization is important in the sense that you will be able to understand the hypocrisy that is clouded in the narratives that is being sent to the outside world. Fortunately and unfortunately for the northern part of the country, it lacks the mouthpiece to express itself. Most of the media outlets that are dishing out news and news agendas for Nigeria, for Nigerians, to the outside world, are people that hardly even understand the northern part of the region. So they send out narratives that suit their own interests. It's commendable, and it is a matter of urgency and necessity for our leaders in the north to start thinking about a mouthpiece that is going to extend and that is going to spread our own thinking and our own narrative. We are peace-loving people, we are humble people, and we are a religious people. I have told you in a recent interview that was conducted here with me, a Christian that is living in any part of Kano state is safer than a Muslim that is living in any part of Plateau. And that's a fact. In the past 20 years, how many Christians were killed in Kano? In the past 20 years, how many Muslims were killed, murdered, gruesomely murdered in Plateau? We recently have the issue of General Al-Ghali In the southeastern part of the country, we have the issue of Gulag. We have the issue of Harira that was killed along with her 6 children and
if you have to cherry
a
pick
pregnant baby.
If you have to cherry pick incidents, there are others who would also cherry pick incidents of mob action, whether it's Deborah in Sokoto, for instance, or several other incidents where Christians have lost their lives as a result of their faith. I mean, there's always room for everybody to cherry pick and make his own point. But the larger conversation is,
we are cherry picking,
where are the common denominators?
The common denominators here is there is widespread insecurity in Nigeria, and it affects everybody. And the federal government needs to do the needful. Take a look at the legal brief that Joash Amopitan has written, dissect it, and look at the comments that are contained in that legal brief and the signals that it sends to the outside world.
Do you think the INEC chairman is responsible for what is playing out right now? Because you keep referencing that legal brief.
Of course, he is the author of the legal brief. His seal is there, his name is on it. And up till today, he has not come out to dissociate himself from that legal brief. So we have to hold him accountable. It's a treasonable offense. I repeat it again. It's a treasonable offense. Calling for the use of external...
For a lawyer to...
Is a treasonable offense. Calling for the intervention of foreign military forces in your country. Calling for the United Nations forces, the IU forces, the ECOWAS forces.
I mean, you just said the First Lady is asking for military strikes in the north. Is that also treasonable felony as far as you're concerned?
The First Lady of the country made a statement, and that statement can be interpreted in a different manner. This we are talking about a legal brief, a document that is of 80 pages that somebody sat down, drafted, and even said in that legal brief that Fulanis were elite comers to Nigeria as they joined Nigeria in the 19th century, forgetting that the Usman and Fodio jihad took place over 200 years ago, and associating everything that is happening in Nigeria today to the jihad of Sheikh Usman and Fodio. What is the link? What he has successfully done in that legal brief is label any northern Muslim as complicit in the killing of Christians in northern Nigeria.
That is your understanding of it.
That's what he did.
I mean, that's your understanding of it.
That is what is contained in the legal brief.
Okay, so
and that is what I understand from what I read in the legal brief.
You don't believe the New York Times reporting of an obscure screwdriver who has put together a report that has been used to reference what the U.S. Congress is using as
what
data
the U.S.
points.
Congress has done.
As data points
what the U.S. Congress has done.
Genocide.
What the U.S. Congress has done is listen to a narrative that is one-sided, perfected their investigation that is one-sided, never took time or care to go and listen to the people in Katsina, to go and listen to the people in Kaduna, to go and listen to the people in Zamfara, to go and listen to the people in Sokoto, to go and listen to the people in Maiduguri. All the references that are being made is that they had a visit, they investigated in Benue, and they were relying on materials that were being sent out from Nigeria. That is a one-sided approach to the whole matter, and it is grossly unfair to Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, because I am telling you, if the issue is Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso promulgating the Sharia in Kano way back in 2002, it is on record and it needs to be stated.
Okay, let's just reference that. Let's just reference that and pull it up for our viewers. Just to do a little time travel to go back in time and reference that, because that is also part of the conversation that Congressman Riley Moore referenced. So if you can just pull up the chart as you talk about the Sharia Days implementation in Kano, because there have been several narratives about Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso's political decline because of his reluctance at some point to even go ahead.
That's what I want to explain to you now. To be fair to Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, we are all going to taste death one day, and we're all going to face our creators. Despite the differences between me and Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, when the truth comes, I owe it a duty to speak it out. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso was reluctant to the implementation of Sharia in Kano. Sharia in Kano, it's what the people of Kano wanted at the time that it was implemented. And it is on record that the Sharia law in Kano was even a private bill. It was never a legislative bill. It was never an executive bill. It was a private bill. And look at the speech that Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso made during the inauguration of Sharia in Kano. He says citizens must not take laws into their hands. The government is the only body and authority that is saddled with the responsibility of taking decisive law. Does this come from the mouth of somebody that has extremist belief? If that is the case, that Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso has declared that Kano is an Islamic state by promulgating the Sharia law to a state that 95% of the population, indigenous population of that state, are Muslims. What about Nyesom Wike, the former governor of Rivers State, when he declared Rivers State a Christian state? Why the parallels? There's no parallels to this, because Rivers State is a 95 majority Christian state. All that he did is voiced out the fact. Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, by promulgating Sharia in Kano, all he did was answering the yearnings of the people of Kano State. And Islam is our way of life. We owe nobody any apology to that. We are first and foremost Muslims, then any other thing is secondary. He did what the people of the state wanted. And don't forget, Kano promulgated the Sharia law after several states have done that. That is out of the reluctance that Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso had to the implementation of Sharia. And it also goes to his credit. He is the governor of Kano State that appointed the Chief Justice of Kano State, a Christian, a lady, Patricia. Does this come from somebody that has extremist ideologies? Nobody is going to cow us into submitting the dictates of our faith. Nobody is going to do that. And I'm telling you this, it should be on the record, that what the American government has done is going to seed the soil of divisiveness, further divisiveness into Nigeria. And the president has to act, because the premise of all these is the Joash Amopitan legal brief. That's the premises of all this. And he's appending his legal seal. He's appending his legal seal on that legal brief.
None of the congressmen is using that particular legal brief to draw conclusions.
Is the premise. Is the premise for all these things. It is the premise. It is a document that the American Congress has consulted, that the American government has consulted.
You don't think that the Americans have spoken to a wide range of people from the north to the south about these issues?
They haven't. Even if they have done, to the wide range of people that you are taking into account, they have done it one-sided.
I mean, we've had Professor Usman on the platform several times about this conversation when the CPC designation was made, and he alluded to several engagements in the United States where members of the clergy were in the US Congress meeting with lobbyists, meeting with government officials and people like that, and several rooms where there are different representatives of faith-based organizations here in Nigeria, Muslims and Christians alike, and he talked about some of the uncomfortable things that he has heard, and never did he mention at any point in time Professor Joash Amopitan being a part of that circle. So is there a very good chance that the congressmen in the United States have other sources other than this legal brief that you keep circling back to?
The legal brief is the premise for everything that is happening between Nigeria and the United States of America. That legal brief is the premise, because that legal brief is co-authored along with United States House of Assembly representatives and people from the House of Lords and Commons in the UK. So that is the premise of anything that is happening in Nigeria. And the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has appended his presidential seal on that by appointing this man to the most trustworthy position in the land, which is that of the umpire of the electoral body. That's the premise. And let's have it, and let it be on the record that I condemn the United States of America for designating Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso as a person of concern, because I believe tomorrow it would be Jafar, next tomorrow it would be one sheikh, next tomorrow it would be one traditional ruler, because I listened to somebody on a sister channel from Benue State who is residing in Oklahoma in the United States of America, saying they know the traditional rulers, they know the clerics, they know the rich men that are the financiers of terrorism in Nigeria.
Okay.
One, Nigeria is a country that designates every accuser as innocent until proven guilty. Which court of law in the land has he taken these people to be adjudicated as guilty as he has charged them?
For the most part, analysts, opinion holders have talked about how there seems to be this overprotectiveness from northern commentators like yourself, for instance, where if you have to make the case against traditional institutions that have been compromised, whether it's in Zamfara or in Sokoto. I mean, we've heard the governor of Sokoto State say the same thing, the governor of Zamfara say the same thing. District heads who have lost their jobs because of how they've compromised local security, working with bandits and things like that. I mean, if these things are already well known, why does it bother you so much because somebody else is voicing the same thing?
Why it bothers,
I mean, it's not like it's not a fact.
Why it bothers me most is that aren't there been insecurity issues in southern Kaduna? Aren't there been insecurity issues in Plateau? Aren't there been insecurity issues, long-spanning insecurity issues in Taraba? Let me give you an example. In Bauchi State, we used to have a year-in, year-out crisis in Tafawa Balewa local government. But one singular act by the then state executive governor, Isa Yuguda, His Excellency Isa Yuguda, of removing the local government secretariat from a Christian-dominated area to a Muslim-dominated area. Up till today, there hasn't been a single life lost in Tafawa Balewa. Up till today. And why is it that most of the major crises, religious, faith-based crises we have in northern Nigeria, it is only in Christian-dominated areas that we have those faith-based crisis? Why don't we have it in Kano? Don't you have Christians in Kano? Why don't we have it in Katsina? Don't you have Christians in Katsina? Why don't we have it in Jiga? Don't we have Christians in Jiga? Why don't we have it in Sokoto? Don't we have Christians in Sokoto? Why don't we have it in Kebbi? Don't we have Christians in Kebbi? Why is it that it's only in Plateau that we have intractable cases of faith-based crisis? Why is it in only southern Kaduna? Why is it not in northern Kaduna? I mean, why is it in Taraba? Why is it in Benue? There is an orchestrated plan to malign us.
By whom?
There is an orchestrated plan to malign us as a people practicing a faith. If you don't like the faith we are practicing, we are not practicing our faith because of you. It's a choice. We don't condemn your own choice of faith. Don't bother about our own choice of faith.
Ironically, some of our viewers would say the same thing about Muslims.
Of course, that's what I'm telling you. Right. What I'm telling you is, if the same thing, Muslims take the same position to go and say there is a Muslim genocide in Nigeria, which of course there is, but take the same position,
a Muslim
I will
genocide
condemn.
In Nigeria?
Of course, there is.
By whom?
By bandits. Bandits are killing people by religious crises that have happened over the centuries. We here in Nigeria, we have its own record. Do you think
bandits are seriously killing the people they are killing because they're Muslims?
They are killing them because of their faith. The Kwara State governor has settled that. He said these bandits have killed these people because they have failed, they have refused to take the path of their own kind of religious practices.
I mean, those aren't necessarily bandits. They have been designated a terrorist group. I mean, the Mahmoudal group that carried out the attack.
Bandits are terrorists. Right. Kidnappers are terrorists.
Yeah, but there are levels to it, isn't it?
Yeah, they are leveled. They can be leveled anything. Yeah. What I'm saying is, and what I'm calling is, not designating this or associating it to a tribe or to a faith. Islam abhors criminality in all ramifications. Islam is a peace-loving faith.
How do you explain this to, say, a non-religious person or a Christian who feels some type of way about what is playing out? Maybe because they have lost someone. Mm-hmm. Maybe because they are paying the price for the destruction in their communities, for instance. And a bandit, whether it's Bello Turji, comes on online and he starts by quoting the Quran and things like that and projects himself as a Muslim. do you understand how the two could be linked?
Yeah.
And how to a non-Muslim that, you can't argue anything else because that's what the man says he is.
Yeah, I will ask him what the Catholic Protestants have done, what the Catholic Protestants have done in Ireland against the UK. Is it faith-based? What Adolf Hitler did against the Jew, is it hate-based? Is it faith-based? Is he not a Christian? What the KKK have done in the United States of America, are they not Christians? These things should not be associated to religion. They should be associated to the individuals that are perpetrating them. I have lost blood relatives. My wives have lost blood relatives. My nephew was slaughtered in his house in the presence of his wife. She was abducted. His 3-year-old daughter was killed in her presence. My uncle, his son was abducted. A ransom, a huge amount of money has to be paid as ransom to get them out. We are all victims in one way or another. Whether the person that is involved is known to you or not. As far as there is insecurity in this land, we are all victims because you never can tell who the next victim is. We would like to have a stable, secure nation. But all these things that we are doing, trying to attach a certain narrative that is going to stigmatize a certain faith or a certain tribe or a certain people from a certain region, is not going to be helpful in proffering solutions to the dilemma and debacle that Nigeria is in now.
Where do you stand on Makban and Mieti Allah Kautal Hore being on that list with Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso?
I don't agree with that also. These are a socio-cultural organization.
Is there anything you agree with the position of the Congress?
I don't agree with any of the position of the Congress. If you are talking about Makban and you are talking about Mieti Allah, is there any attack that has been perpetrated and they have claimed responsibility to? If you are going to do that, then you do that to the Ohanese in the Igbo.
I mean,
if you are going to do that, then you do that to the Afenifere.
To be fair, there have been members of the leadership of Mieti Allah, I mean, most recently, I think it was in Kwara or in Kebbi State, that have been arrested, tied to their complicity with regards to the operations of bandits in the area.
So let's say somebody from this administration is caught to be corrupt. Does that make the whole members of the administration corrupt?
But you do have to concede, right, that there is a problem.
There is a problem. I have said that severally. There is a problem. There is an insecurity problem that is affecting everyone. That is faceless. That is not faith-based. It is not Muslims targeting Christians. It's not Christians targeting Muslims. If you draw up a general perspective of the crisis in Nigeria, here and there, we do have pockets of religious crisis that have stemmed at one time or another. It is on record. We all know these things. During the National Conference of the Chief Goodluck Ebele Jonathan administration, so many documents were presented by these social cultural organizations that you're talking about. Ohanese has brought in documents. Sokapu has brought in documents. Mieti Allah Kautal Hore has brought in documents. Makban has brought in document. Afenifere have brought in document. All of these documents indicating some scenes and events of criminality that has led to loss of lives. But this does not warrant designating a whole tribe or picking out somebody just because of the faith he practices or the way he dresses or the region he comes from and label him as somebody as a terrorist financer with no evidence whatsoever.
Would you consider there is something the U.S. Congress knows about these groups that you don't?
It is not the U.S. Congress. It is these individuals that have drafted this bill.
I mean, U.S. congressmen. I mean, they are part of the U.S. Congress.
They are part of the U.S. Congress, but it is not even...
Is there a chance that they have some sort of intelligence about the operations of the individuals involved or the groups involved that you don't have? And you're willing to concede that maybe they know something that you don't?
I'm not willing to concede to that. They know nothing. because they have never been to Kano, they have never been to Katsina, they have never been to Sokoto, they have never been to Zamfara. All these states that I have called to you in the last 6 months, I have been to each and every.
You're a modern man. You know that you don't need to be in the US to understand what is
But you have to hear the side.
US.
You have to hear the other version. That is what is called fair trial. If the northern part of the country is on trial, no, it's a court. It's a court. Because they are educating people guilty. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso has been tried and convicted. In the face of these people. He's an innocent person.
They're not saying jail time.
They haven't heard from him.
They're not saying jail time. They're saying
even if
possible ban.
These are sanctions. These are sanctions. The court does not always grant jail terms. The court can fine you. The court can send you to community work. He has been tried in a secret court and he has found guilty of a crime he doesn't know nothing about. And these are the same people that you're telling me have intelligence that I might not be privy to? No.
Does that lead you then to question the renewed relationship between the United States and Nigeria? Most recently we understand that more troops are on their way to train and help improve our security architecture and our capability to deal with this problem that you have enunciated quite passionately.
You see, it's laughable. There is no country of the world that had American boots on its soil that did not leave a trail of crisis behind. Any country that is sane, that is responsible to its people's welfare, livelihood, will not have American boots on its soil. And there are a plethora of evidences to adduce to this. Wherever they go, the trail they leave behind is chaos. They have such bad record for that. And let me tell you something.
Some would say they were in Germany during World War II.
They were never in Germany. They were in Germany as a part of a peace deal after everything has been signed, after the partitioning. There is no country in the world that the United States of America had boots on the ground in that country and did not leave a trail of chaos behind. None.
They say non-combative troops. So maybe that changes the narrative.
I don't know. But
that's what the defense headquarters is saying.
I don't know what kind of troops they are having in Nigeria, but what I'm telling you is factual, verifiable, that there is no country in the world that the Americans had their boots on ground without leaving chaos behind. Most at times, they leave an ungovernable situation.
Yeah, but like I said, isn't it important that the devil is in the detail? It's one thing to have troops on the field of operations, and it's another thing to have them as part of capacity building as well as defense.
What I'm telling you is
improvement.
What I'm telling you is, I don't know of a country, maybe you do, but in the whole world that
you're comparing apples and oranges.
I'm not comparing.
It's one thing when boots were on the ground in Afghanistan or in Iraq or in Somalia, for instance, fighting Al-Shabaab and the rest. I get the point. However, it's quite clear that American troops, as far as we know, from the Americans and from the Nigerian Defense Headquarters, are not going to be involved in active operations on the field.
Well, what I'm saying is clear. And I think you understand me, and I think my listeners will understand me.
So you don't even welcome the idea of training and intelligence improvement?
Training can be done anywhere. Training can be done anywhere, and Nigerian soldiers have been going on training. It can be done anywhere. But there is no country in the world that the American soldiers had their boots on ground that did not leave chaos behind. Simple as that.
All right. Let's switch gears and talk about politics.
It's a chaotic situation, and let me tell you something that exposes the kind of hypocrisy that is involved in all these matters. They're saying that Benjamin Netanyahu, I just heard him over the Prime Minister of Israel, saying that they are going to help the Christian community in Nigeria because a lot of atrocities are being perpetrated against him. Why don't he start with the Christian community in Palestine?
Yeah, but that's his prerogative. You don't get to tell Benjamin Netanyahu whatever you think of him. You can't tell him what to do.
Then he's cherry picking. Then it means to him.
That's his business,
then it means to him. No, it's not his business. It's also our business. Then it means one life is better than the other life. What he is saying, in essence, is that the life of a Christian Palestinian is not worth the life of a Christian Nigerian.
Did he say that?
That's invariably what he is saying. He has desecrated churches in Palestine. He has killed Christians in Palestine. This is somebody that the International Court of Justice in The Hague has designated as a wanted person for crimes against humanity. And this is the same person that is coming to say that he's going to assist a certain faith base in Nigeria, while he has almost exterminated that same faith base in Palestine.
I mean, we can talk about a variety of issues. I'm not sure if the Gaza situation is on our to-do list, but,
yes.
I do get the point, right? One man's food is another man's poison. As they always say, one man's hero is another man's villain. But let's segue and talk about Nigerian politics, because there is a need for us to talk about the electoral amendment bill that has been the source of much discourse in the National Assembly.
Unneeded.
And on the streets of Abuja, we saw Mr. Peter Obi, we saw Rotimi Amechi, but more importantly, we saw civil society organizations, young Nigerians take to the streets to express their take on what is playing out. What do you make of what has played out this week so far, and what does that say about what's to come? Because the president, one of the president's spokesperson also said the president gets to have the final say on e-transmission. Not sure whether that is an open-ended statement, but Nigerians are making of it whatever they want to make of it. Where do you stand?
Understand. You said that the president has the final say.
Yeah, Mr. Sondidare said the president will make the final decision on e-transmission. As the case is, obviously he has to assent to the bill for it to become law.
If he doesn't assent the bill after 40 days, it becomes law. The only choices that are before him are two. The bill is sent to him by the National Assembly. He returns it to them, eliciting concerns, or it remains on his decks and after 40 days it becomes law. It becomes a binding law. Our constitution has been designed in such a way that it does not give any arm of government the leverage and latitude to take the whole country for granted, to take the whole country for a ride. The National Assembly, the National House of Representatives on their part, have passed a version of their own amendment to the Electoral Act, which contains transmission of results real time. The Senate, on its part, decided to add a proviso to that when it is possible, and INEC has said, timeless of numbers, that it has the capacity to transmit these results real time. And the argument they are making that there are hinterlands in Nigeria that do not have internet coverage. The Beavers is designed in such a way that once it captures the results, it stores it in its memory, and it's there. Whenever there is network, it transmits it. So what's the problem there? And this is a party that has stacked all opposition governors, almost all opposition governors, having 31 state governors in its kitty, and yet it's afraid of facing Nigerians. It's shivering to face Nigerians.
Do you think the APC is afraid?
It's afraid. If it's not afraid, what is in transmitting results real time? INEC has said it can do it. No, why not give them the benefit of doubt? And up till today, it is only in Nigeria that we have an unexplained glitch up till today. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, an emeritus for that matter, said there was a glitch. And up till today, he has failed to explain to Nigeria what sort of a glitch that was. So to avoid somebody tomorrow coming to tell us that during the election there was a glitch, the Supreme Court of the land said that it cannot contemplate looking into any matter that is not within the context of the law of the land. And the 2022 Electoral Act gave INEC the prerogative to decide how to transfer results. And now the word transmit is now enshrined in the Electoral Act. The only thing that is left in the electoral bill, the only thing that is left is the real time. The proviso now that the Senate has put in, included, has led to a more serious conundrum cul-de-sac situation than the previous one. The previous stand is, no, we don't agree to electronic transfer. Nigerians realize where they are. But now they are saying yes and no. That's what the Senate is doing.
You don't think it makes logical sense?
It doesn't make any logical sense.
To have a backup plan.
It doesn't make any logical sense.
If plan A doesn't work?
Already there is a backup plan. If you decide to send a message on your WhatsApp now and there is no network, the message does not return back to you. It stays in the server of WhatsApp. Anytime there is network, the message gets delivered. And that is how the beavers and IREV have been designed. And INEC has explained this countless number of times. So what is their fear? Is it the fear that they have a leader that had never passed through the rigors of any primary election and just emerged as a candidate?
Who are you talking about?
The leadership of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, never participated in any primary election.
Is this about Akpabio?
Oh, it's about the kind of modalities they used to get there. Disenfranchising Nigerians. That is what it's all about. Nigerians want real-time transmission of election results. We are not doing electronic voting. It's just to snap the picture of the election result and upload it to the server. And this proviso is provided so that when you are speaking with your mind and acting with your mind, you are able to do it before the devil starts to talk to you and act on your behalf. That's just it. If you are left with the result sheet, you might be spoken by the devil and decide to temper it. But once you capture it and upload it, you have eliminated the devil's work. So what Nigerians are yearning for is an election that is going to reflect their desires before devil starts talking to the officiating officials. After the elections, the agents have signed there and then capture the result and upload it.
All right. It's almost safe to say that I can predict what you're going to say, but as things stand right now, Professor Joash Amopitan is the man heading INEC. Based on the...
Somebody that I have no confidence whatsoever in.
Yeah, like I said, it goes without saying. Do you see INEC delivering on its mandate with this improved
with the leadership
conversation?
With the leadership of Joash Amopitan, I just have to wait and see, because I will have no confidence in whatsoever that man has done or is doing.
And if you have an opportunity to have a conversation with him, do you think you would keep an open mind about what he's capable of doing beyond that 80-page legal brief?
I will tell him to leave his prejudices aside and don't be biased by those prejudices. That's what I will tell him.
All right, as always.
I will tell him to have a clearer vision and to see people as they are people and deal with them on individual basis, and only comment on the act that is perpetrated by a person that you have dealt with on an individual basis.
Alhaji Jafar Sani, thank you so much as always. Good to see you again.
Thank you so
so
much
for the analysis.
I'm most grateful. Thank you very much.
Right, and that is a wrap on tonight's edition of the program. Daily Politics will be back tomorrow live at 8 p.m. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. From myself and the rest of the team, thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.